Hello. Sit back, relax, and let me tell you a story. Allow the river to be your vessel, to carry you along, to speak to you through me. All I ask is that you prepare a space in your mind and let me weave my tale. Allow the threads to wind their way inside. Open up. Take a look. Step inside. Once, long ago, in a land beyond time, that looked much like this land, but not this land. A mirror image, a water reflection. In those days, the veil between human and spirit world was thinner, diaphanous. It trembled, it shimmered. Life appeared layered, one reality on top of another. Walking along, you could feel there was somebody walking by you. But as you turned to look, there was no one there. Only the feeling remained. Then, as now, lived a great water mother, sister to the earth mother. She was vast and beautiful, turbulent and calm. Her waters stretched everywhere the land could not reach. She gave birth to 10,000 spirit children, whom she nurtured and encouraged to find their own paths. They spontaneously sprung up from her watery vaults, each crying out in their own river language. They danced upwards and outwards with shimmering steps, trinkling their way through the land, pouring out Oshun and Njaba, Imomiri, Oshimiri and Idemili, Nixie, Ondine, Pegpaula and Grindilo, Limnadis and Kappa, Suyesi and Pania. Spontaneously as they bubbled up, they called their own names in song. One such spirit emerged from the deep pink rocks, calling out, Isis! She danced and wove her way as a spring child, and gradually, as she gathered strength and power and age, her song developed, and she knew herself to be both Tem and Isis. So all who knew and loved her in timeless ways called her Thamesis. She wound her way through life, nourishing the land, giving rise to great beauty. She touched dark, soft earth, creating salt marshes teeming with life. In her persistence, she softened the unmoving earth and created great, flat, muddy plains. What once appeared desolate filled with haunting cries as Curlew hovered, waiting and watching. Laughing, she welcomed waders and wildfowl, short-eared owl, sister redshank perching, and brother lapwing tottering. Plovers came a-trembling, delicately stepping into her welcoming embrace. Pewit, they sang as she flowed past. Pewit! Reed bunting peered beneath the depths to find bloody Henry starfish and velvet swimming crab. Her mother's daughter, she danced with a tidal energy, in and out, in and out. Her rhythm strong and forceful, she pressed mudstone and siltstone into broad sweepings of sandy flats. Grasses of all hues and shades of green grew strong, creating homes for salt marsh, salt spear beetle and grass snake. Incessant, she carved new shapes and forms into the rock, cutting mystical curves into the land that people would come to see and divine meaning from. Wise women took sacred bathings in her shallows. Babies were born and freshened in her glassy, reed-stroked edges, her shining freshness ushering in new life. Children splashed on her edges, imprinting small feet in soft mud. The men and women gazed into her depths, poetry inflaming their souls and inspiring their futures. In the mossy turf, working people laboured and gave thanks for her bounty, and in the fading sunlight, through misty eyes, old men and women sat by her banks, remembering, dreaming, and seeing into the spirit's world beyond. Their dreams of the future became our past, and eventually our present. And because the river blessed them, their dreams were good. Dancing and dreaming, singing and springing, on she went, wandering free, sweeping across land and water, mixing with humanity, moving through and inspiring, stirring their souls with her song. As the deep languorous river, or the giddy stream, or even sometimes in human form, but always with a watery song in her heart. One day, in her human form, she met a human man. She fell in love and promised him the profound yet delicate abundance a nature spirit can offer. With glints in his eye, this man grasped at Thamesis in deep embrace, seeing in his future an eternity not of love, but of riches beyond his wildest dreams. So he took, and he took, and he took. He trapped her away in her human form and would no longer allow her to dance down the shore to her great water mother. He wanted her all for himself. He trapped her away in a great fortified castle of stone shaped like a beautiful snowflake, wrapped round and round with moats, with ravelins and redoubts, sluice gates and causeways, trapped in her stone snowflake. Frozen, she cried out, but few could hear her cries, and fewer still could understand the language of the river spirits. And this was the first time the spirit self had been trapped, but not the last. As humans are wont, like monkeys in an infinite cage, when one human discovers how to trap the spirit, so many more discovered. And in this way, they learn to bury the soul spirits of nature, to use them for their own individualized desires, rather than living symbiotically for the good of all. Now, as time went on, the free roaming spirits sealed themselves off in the safety of their own domain. They still looked on at the human world, but from behind a deeper veil, transparent but impenetrable. Thamesis, locked away for too long in human form, lost her strength. The spirit drained out from her. Liquidity bleached, flowing ceased and stopped up, until all that was left was deep murmurings. And what of her? Her river, the river of Thamesis. Well, her river slowed and it sludged. It filled with detritus and despair. The ghostly wails of children not yet born haunted its inlets and waterways. Along her banks, the earth grew. It swelled and it bloomed, not with a bounty of fruit from seed, but with waste, with rotten waste that formed new landscapes. And so the land shifted and changed. Piling with hidden secrets, it formed new hills and valleys. Though covered with grass and paved over, this rotten earth could not be contained, and burst forth into her waters, poisoning fish and fowl alike. The balance between land and water was lost. Fetid land spilled into poisoned water, and turbulent water threw its weight over sickened land. The soul of the river, locked away for one man's selfish use, unprotected, it attracted more greed, more and still more, whereas her cruel captor sucked up her power. The flow of eternity entered him, and he lived a long, long life as he wished, gathering up more riches than he could ever dream of or make practical use of. He sat all the long days of his life, spellbound, gorged and bloated, yet wizened, gazing into her depths, accruing, compounding, sitting in the living ashes of a spirit. This cruel magic emanated outwards. The potency of the brutal entrapment attracted crooked magicians of finance and commerce, technology and brutality, ignorance and shame. Plutocrats! And proud of it. They drew from her waters, used her waters, dumped into her waters, and desecrated her waters, all for private gain. Growing fat and engorged themselves, they sucked up profits and spat out waste, barely caring to hide their maleficence. They buried their shameful secrets within until the river was engorged, spilling out and spilling in. Evil spread through her waters, flowing to other lands, poisonous words and poisonous deeds. Great Water Mother for a long time stayed silent. She mourned for her daughter, but she kept her peace. She knew time and space and dimensions and realities. And so she bade her time, gathering strength. And as time went by, she grew fiercer, more angered. She lost control of her feelings, for great grief and swells of pain and torment were unleashed onto the land, onto faraway lands where no one had captured her daughters, but her suffering was such that she lost control, sending tsunami after tsunami as waves of grief roiled her. But let it not be said that all humans were entranced by such low forms of magic, capturing a heart and destroying a spirit. In fact, it was the few who were cruel polluters, captors, and forcers. No. Over the long years, many people tried to free the river spirit. From the playground to the farm, from the factory to the highest skyscraper, they passed secret songs to remind one another of what could be. Thamesis, run to the sea. The struggle was sometimes peaceful, sometimes violent. Men, women, people of all kinds died, trying to call for freedom, for an end to the grasping greed of the few who poisoned the land for profit, for an end to the plutocrats. In Canvey Island, the people knew their river was being poisoned. They knew they were being poisoned. So they fought for years to prevent more sludge being spilled. In Southend, people cried to stop sewage being spilled into their bathing and drinking waters. All around, all over, people gathered together for surges of collective action. But it was not enough to free the river spirit's soul. She remained trapped in the fortress. One day, time sped up. More and more people heard the cries of Thamesis, heard and understood. Some felt it was too much to bear. They felt alone, trapped themselves. Hearing her cries caused them distress, and they shut their ears. Others heard her cries but felt content in themselves, not concerned about the children of their children's children and what they would do when all the waste of the land burst its banks, contained no longer, infusing the air even into the spirit world until land and Mirrorland would be poisoned forever and crumble back into the great Sky Mother's hands. Others knew what they must do. Little by little, alone and together, they sought out her spirit. They cried for justice. They gathered in public houses of knowledge amongst the books full of ideas and wisdom, and they looked to the past and the future. They learned her true name, her secret name, and in so doing, they began to learn her language and her ways. Their hearts did swell, and feeling this shift in the cosmos, the spirits from behind the veil joined in their mission. No longer would the people sit feeling trapped themselves in a cage of a selfish capitalist creation. They learned more about those who had caused their suffering, the few who worked their cringing grasp at magic. Those crooked magicians who pumped and dumped, who scraped and scrivened, who flooded this world with their toxic effluence. The people gathered together, and they protected one another. Those who could inspired the others. Those who could carried the others. They defended the institutions that shared knowledge, and they disrupted solitary interests that amassed private wealth to the detriment of the people. They built alternatives until one day, in our shared future, the people found her. They stood upon the great threshold of stone snowflake, the cruel fortress built to entrap her. Standing poised to release her, they themselves suddenly felt frozen. For the first time, they heard her song in full clarity. And this is what she sang. The river is still. We have gathered up our secret things. We lay down in sweet grass and ran our fingers over the ridges of time. We dug our hands in loamy earth and climbed and climbed. We fought and won, and yet a thread still hangs, untouched, untrammeled. The wheel will turn evermore, like the turning of the wheel, like the rhythm of the wave. Wait for me. We will run to the sea and so be free. Dangling thread, wait for me. I stalk the sweet grass and the dying embers. Wait for me. I crouch in forgotten memories and falling empires. Wait for me. I am inevitable. I choose. My sisters fall away, and as we walk, you and I, soft steps and deep, I cut the dreams and the fears, the truth and the lies. I sing the night. I walk behind you. Waves roll high, winds smash and clash and turn, planets spin and stars explode. Still I come. Wait for me. We will run to the sea and so be free. Well, the people, hearing this, some dropped to their knees in anguish. They remembered They remembered the long nights of dreams, the never-ending pit of anxiety they would feel, the feeling of ghosts slipping by them, a feeling that all was not right, that they were cracks in the seams of reality. They knew her song deep within themselves. It was like coming home. It was like coming together. Like bathing in cool waters. One woman knew she had once felt it on the air. A child remembered it tickling their fingers as they watched the sunrise. An old woman felt the song had been with her since the cradle, always urging her on. So together, in one final almighty surge, they charged the stone fortress. Inside, they saw her jailer, now an ancient and wizened figure. For when you capture a spirit of nature, you gain eternal life, leached from mystical depths, but with no assurance of eternal youth. They saw how through his own greed he poisoned his own spirit, a dry husk of a man. And so they left him there, king of his own hill, entranced by the sublime, imprisoned by his own weak soul. Nothing left but past dreams and an eternity without water. And Thamesis, she sprang from her confines and sped to the river, pouring blessings on all she passed. She leapt upwards and outwards and upwards and outwards, and out to the great Mother Water she flew. And all her sister river spirits sang their songs in joy. And the great Water Mother rose up to meet her in fierce embrace. And the people sang her song, Thamesis, run to the sea, and so be free. And now we come to the end of our story. Wherever you are, I invite you to breathe in deep and release. Take in this last moment. Feel this hope, this possibility. We are alone together. But if nothing else, I hope you take with you this idea that the river is alive. She is here. I am the river. The river is me.